Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sweater Weather, a podcast about Canadian arts and culture. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Naomi.
Today we're talking about Breaker High. This is a teen sitcom that aired for 44 episodes in 1997 and 1998. It aired on YTV in Canada and the Paramount Network in the United States. Mm-hmm. So this is about high school on a cruise ship. It's like Love Boat meets Saved by the Bell. Basically, that was the pitch for this show. And, I was like a little bit too old probably to watch this because it was on 1997, 1998. I'm like finishing up high school and I was probably about the same age as the supposed people on the supposed characters on the show. Mm-hmm, but, it probably appealed to people who were 5 years younger than that.
Yeah.
Right? Early teens. Absolutely.
And I was, alas, even older than that. So... I was like 20 when this was on.
Okay, so.
And now, this show, I had never heard of it. And actually, a friend of the pod and of me, Sydney, told me about the show and asked and requested for us to talk about it on Sweater Weather long ago. And until she told me about it, I guess it was like always on YTV, but I guess like they made one episode and then they just like played reruns of the episodes forever.
One season, yeah.
But what did I say? Yeah, one season, 44 episodes.
One episode. Said they made one episode.
Yeah, 44 episodes, one season. And then according to our extensive research of the last 5 minutes, it was shown on repeat like forever, on rerun forever on YTV. And I never had YTV or watched YTV, which also helps explain why I never heard of it before.
Sure, yeah, but you wouldn't have been watching it anyway. It just wasn't really quite our target demographic. That was, I've had a few people say, oh, what about Breaker High? Actually, it's more than that one. Yeah, I've had a couple of people say that too. Like, why don't you do Breaker High for this podcast that's about nostalgic Canadian culture, partly at least. I think one of the reasons that people still know the show, still talk about the show, is because one of the co-stars is a young 17-year-old Ryan Gosling. Mm-hmm. And so this is, he had already been working on Canadian TV for quite a while before he got this role, but this was, I guess, one of kind of like a breakout role for him. He is really good. And I don't know if I'm watching this from, I'm watching this from the future with the knowledge of the A-list celebrity.
Became a celebrity.
But you do see him like having extra oomph. Like you just see, he's very funny. He plays this like fast talking schmoozer. Yeah. He's like one of the, this is a comedy. Every character is trying to be funny usually, but Ryan Gosling is succeeding more than the rest, quite frankly. He's really, he really has comic chops.
Oh, totally.
And he's actually younger than everyone else. He's 17, which is probably about at the time that he was filming this. And that is about
the age of the character.
The age of the character, but the other actors look older. Like a lot of them do look a few years older than that at least.
That's true.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was filmed in Burnaby, BC, I read.
Yeah, that's right. And like the actors are mostly Canadian, if not all of them.
Not all of them, but most of them, yeah. Yeah,
and the writer, David Winning, one of the main writers, he's a Canadian television writer from Calgary originally. Mm-hmm. So Breaker High school on a yacht. On a cruise ship.
Yeah, so it seems like the premise is that there's this program that you can like sign up for and pay for where you're at sea in high school for like a while. Not clear how long.
A semester at sea?
Yeah, maybe a semester.
I think that was a thing that really happened. Maybe still does.
Yeah, okay. And like it's not clear how many people are on the ship or in the school or like how big the boat is or whether there's adults on board.
So the establishing shot in the first episode is just a cruise ship. It's just this cruise ship rolling along. It's an aerial shot. It looks like a very large ship.
That's true.
And so you're like, okay, there are hundreds of people on this boat. Right. But in fact, the cast is what, 8 kids?
Yeah, and there's like the captain and the
captain.
And the cook.
A captain and a cook. So there are 2. Yeah. Oh, and the activities coordinator, who is a very gay-coded man.
Yeah, I thought he was a teenager, but I guess no, he's an adult.
No, he works for. No, he's older.
Oh, okay.
He's clearly older, and he's like the chipper, energetic.
Okay, I thought he was one of the kids, but that makes more sense.
Yeah, so there aren't that many. There isn't much of an adult presence.
And like,
on the
what
ship.
about teachers? There's no teachers that we've seen.
We watched 3 episodes and there is literally about 10 seconds in a classroom.
Yeah.
And it's just because the characters are pranking each other.
It's funny how, like, in those first 3 episodes, it's never really explained. Like, this is how long we're at sea. This is how many people. This is what grade we're in. Like nothing.
So in the first episode, episode 1, it's called, okay, get ready for this. This is not me. This is them. It's called The Sun Also Rises. So this, and guess where the traveling high school arrives in this one? Japan. Yes. So the title of the very first episode is a racist joke. And actually, it's a theme you'll see if you just scanning the other episodes. You get a lot of episode titles sort of along these lines. There's episode 3 is called Mayhem on the Orient Distress. Episode 4, Don't Get Curried Away. I'm assuming they're going to be in India for that one. Episode 5, Kenya, Dig It. Country Kenya. Okay, so, and there's a lot more of those.
And what was the pizza one again?
Well, I don't know. You're the one who looked that one up.
I forget.
There's one in Italy. Episode 14, For Pizza's Sake.
Right. For
pizza's sake?
Yeah.
What? So how is that a pun? Is that a pun on anything? For pizza's sake.
For Pete's sake.
Oh, duh. Okay, that one is not as offensive as the other ones. Oh, and then there's one called When in Rome. They're in Italy a lot. There's like When in Rome, and then the next one is called Silence of the Lamborghini. So some of these are pretty good, when they're not. But
they were all filmed in Burnaby.
They're all filmed clearly on a set in Burnaby.
Yeah.
The same set. There's like street scenes supposed to be Hong Kong. You're like, nope, that's the same set for sure.
It's so funny. Like Rome is just like the same set again.
That is like a weakness of this show.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be traveling and it all looks extremely the same.
Yeah, and there's like 2 rooms on the ship as far as we can tell.
Yeah. Another thing is, it's weird. They say that it was only one episode that aired from 97 to 98. But there are
one season.
Sorry, I said it. One season. One season that aired from 97 to 98. There are 44 episodes of this. How is that a single season? Like back then,
it was like one a week.
It's like a soap opera level of production.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, because 22 episodes was the standard sitcom for a network sitcom back then. 22 episodes a season.
Was it?
Yeah.
So they made double.
Wild. Anyway, and it didn't get renewed, but it did have that long legacy of being replayed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's being replayed anymore.
No idea.
Comedy doesn't age well.
I mean, just even that episode title is like the first episode title.
You're like, okay.
I feel uncomfortable. I don't think this is right. Yeah. And then, I mean, it's also the depictions of other cultures. It's like largely making fun of the culture in the way that it used to be considered funny.
Somewhat. I mean, I wouldn't entirely throw them under the bus, but they're
it's
definitely
light mocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So episode 1, I won't repeat the title.
It's funny too, though, that it's a play on The Sun Also Rises, which is like a novel about erectile dysfunction.
A Hemingway novel, and it has nothing to do at all with. Is it just because Max is a sad, cool dude?
No, I think it's because like Japan, like the sun, the empire of the sun.
Yeah, I know.
The sun on the flag.
No, I get it, but like it is referring to a Hemingway book that has nothing to do
about sexual dysfunction.
It has nothing to do with Japan either. So
no,
it doesn't. Anyway, so we are okay.
Yeah, why is it called that?
It's just so they could pun on the land of the sun, where the sun rises.
The more you think about it, the more you're like, what?
We've already thought about it too much. So episode number 1, it stars Matt. Okay, so we get we do really get a quick, exposition here, like we're thrown right into the action, and we just kind of find out who's who as we go. So it opens with this guy, Max. Now, he's played by someone named Scott, and I couldn't believe this was his real name, Scott Vicarious, like Vicarious, but spelt with like a Y. And so Vicarious. So you're like, is that like a clever Hollywood name or something? But no, we looked him up. He's the son of like Al Vicarious and Dorothy Vicarious. That's probably not the real names. But from Sherwood Park was a suburb of Edmonton. He's a cool dude. He's like lounging by the pool where everyone else is swimming and having fun. We see a close-up of his arm tattoo. It's like a tribal tattoo, I guess, to show us that he's a real badass. And he's not having fun. Like, he's not enjoying himself.
No, he's too cool to have
He's too cool for school, literally. School on a boat. And now Tamira is in love with him. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with Tamira. She's like a perfectly nice looking young woman, but for some reason she's a nerd and not cool or something.
Yeah, we're given to understand that she's the nerd of the ship.
Yeah, and so yes, there's no way she could ever get this cool dude Max. Now, yeah, like Naomi was saying, Max's story is that he doesn't want to be on this yacht, but he was getting into trouble in Portland, and so his mom sent him away on the ship, who is captained by his father. Mm-hmm. So he's getting basically a free semester at sea.
And I guess his parents aren't together, or we're not sure.
I don't know about that. We haven't found out about that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then Ryan Gosling, he plays someone named Sean, and he's like a kind of skinny, goofy, fast-talking guy. And he's a lot of fun whenever he shows up. Now there's this guy, Ryan Gosling is like with a crew of jokers kind of. And I think Ryan Gosling's best friend is a guy named Jimmy. And he has a beard that like includes his sideburns and goes all the way under his chin. So it's, I guess you'd call that a chin beard. So he's got a really funny look. Mm-hmm. Jimmy. And there's plenty of other characters here that come and go, but like I guess the most noticeable one is Ashley, who's a Southern belle. Mm-hmm. And she talks like this.
She's from Atlanta and she's from a very wealthy family, we're given to understand.
Okay, so that's as much as...
I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but like I feel like her accent sounds really
fake.
Off.
I think my accent's just about as good as hers. It's about the same level, I'd say.
Yeah, it doesn't really sound real.
Oh, honey. You're so naive.
I don't know. Maybe it is real. I can't tell.
So in the first episode, the activities coordinator's like, Max, why haven't you signed up for any activities? Because Max doesn't want to do any activities. And the only one left, because all the cool ones have been already, filled, is a Japanese tea ceremony. So Max is forced to do this. Now Tamara is going to do it with him, and she's so excited because she loves tea. She says, I love tea. I love mint refresher tea. And she just names all these like celestial seasonings flavors basically.
Yeah. And orange pico.
And orange pico. Okay.
And matcha green tea.
Right. Then Ryan Gosling shows up with his Joker buddies. And he's giving them all high fives and like, yeah, we're going to work in a fishing village. We're going to suck on some sushi and sashimi. And he gives high fives.
Yes. Sushi and sashimi.
And he gives high fives all around. Yeah. So it's really funny. And he gives a high five to Jimmy, who has a chin beard. Mm-hmm, So this is essentially a show about cultural appropriation. It's about these kids like going for these touristic experiences here and there. And so what's happening in this first episode, like the conflict is all coming from like, I guess the fact that so the girls, including fancy Southern belle Ashley, they think they're going to like a high-end spa, like they're going to get massages and have a really like luxurious relaxing time. But in fact, what happens is there's kind of a switcheroo or something that happens, so that the boys who think they're going to a fishing village end up being in a cool party place. Mm-hmm. And the girls end up having to do hard manual labor.
Well, they're in a Buddhist monastery.
They end up in a monastery instead of a spa.
So it's like a silent retreat where they have to do hard manual labor.
I think they misunderstood where they were going.
So somehow, like, it's like, did the school on the ship organize these activities, or did the kids organize them? Because it seems like Ashley organized the spa but accidentally booked them into a monastery. Like,
okay,
that's how it's set up. But then the boys are supposed to be going to this fishing village, but they're staying with this rich family. And then the rich son is like, sorry, I don't have time to take you to the fishing village. You're just going to have to party in my mansion instead.
And of course, we don't even really need to belabor this, but like the depiction of like these Japanese people is like pretty offensive. Yeah. I have to say that.
They are played by, I guess, Japanese actors.
No, they're played by, I'm sure they're played.
Or like Asian.
I'm guess they're played by Asian Canadians who speak English perfectly well. And then they put on accents and just pronounce things in a stereotypically incorrect way and stuff. But like,
definitely not accurate.
Ashley Dupree and manual labor do not mix.
That's what she says.
And you're like, well, Ashley, honey, you're going to be in for a surprise.
They have to eat weird, slimy food with seaweed.
Yeah, it is like kind of like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, where there's like a scene, you know, the famous scene where he's like eating monkey brains and it's like an eyeball in a soup and it's grossing him. It's like a little bit on that. A little bit going that direction where they're all grossed out by the food and stuff. And you're like, Japanese food's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay,
this
anyway.
was before Japanese food really became popular.
This is 1997. And you know what? St. Catherine's probably only got a Japanese restaurant around that time. Yeah. Like maybe a year or two earlier or maybe even that very year. Because I remember going to it.
I don't think I ever had Japanese food until the 2000s.
Into the 2000s. But you were living someplace that would have had it a little bit more, Ottawa being a big
I didn't have
city.
It till I moved to Toronto.
Okay, so you were well along your way in adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's easy to forget. I mean, Japanese food, other ethnic foods are so ubiquitous and sought after now. Yeah. So it's easy to forget this kind of thing that Japanese food in 1997 was weird.
Yeah, and like people were especially scared of like raw fish. And,
although Ryan Gosling wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
But like I guess I didn't realize this. Like that was the joke, was that these goofballs thought they were going to be epic by eating raw fish.
Right.
And it wasn't because they necessarily like sushi, I guess.
Right. They probably
just realized that was the joke.
That's right. They just heard of it and it was kind of like being like, we're going to suck down some eyeballs and monkey brains.
Maybe, but this is also Vancouver, so they would have had Japanese food earlier as well. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, it's actually filmed in Vancouver.
I know, but that doesn't mean that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that we don't understand that joke. Like what?
It could have gone in either direction. Anyway, the point is the boys. I mean, what happens on the boys plot, the B plot? They have a fun party. They're playing Twister, which is a sign that the party's going really well.
And there's girls in the Twister.
There's girls playing Twister too. And then then there's like cool samurai swords. Three of them.
They pull off the wall.
Rudely. They play, very rudely.
Start waving them around dangerously.
One of them says, "You be Luke, I'll be Darth Vader." It's like, and then like Ryan Gosling is like, "Oh, I have to be Princess Leia again. I'm always Princess Leia." Then when they're playing, they break through one of those paper screens. Yeah. And they're really scared. Yeah. Because their Japanese host's elderly father only speaks Japanese.
And he has a stern affect.
That's the joke. That's the joke, is that he has a stern affect as he speaks Japanese. And so they think he's always mad at them. And so they think, oh my God, he's going to kill us now. And then the son, the Japanese son, he plays along and he pretends like he's really mad and they're going to have to fight him to the death with a sword. Mm-hmm. And they believe him. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, ha ha ha, fooled you, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's what happens. He's like,
I don't care about my dumb wall. Let's play lightsabers.
Let's play lightsabers because he loves Star Wars too. Okay.
He's like just a bit older than them, like maybe 20.
He's like looking like he might be 30, to be honest.
Oh, well, I thought he was supposed to be like a young adult.
He's a young adult, but he's an adult.
Okay.
Yeah, he's totally an adult. Max and Tamara.
So at first Max is like being a real brat about the tea ceremony and he like doesn't show up and he leaves and stuff. And his dad's like, you have to go to the tea ceremony tomorrow. And he's like, I hate the tea ceremony. And then Tamara comes and tells him and that, I'm your partner for this tea ceremony. And if you don't do it, I don't get to do it either. And I really want to do it. Please don't ruin my tea time. Yeah. And this is important to me. And he's like, oh, I don't care. And then he's like, oh. And then he's like, fine. And he's like, look, I just don't like tea. And then at that point,
he's like, I don't like tea.
Like he was like, seemed to be implying that he was somehow like emotionally traumatized by tea. At some time in the past. It's like, there's more to it than that. And
but
I thought there was going to be some kind of I honestly thought he was going to like break down crying over the tea and be like my mom was poisoned by tea.
His parents divorced over tea.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be something like that. But then you just see him at the tea ceremony with Tamara and they like are both happily sipping their tea. And then he like realizes that tea is not so bad.
And then there's a lady, like a woman, a Japanese woman in a kimono.
Yeah.
And first of all, the tea ceremony, you think it's taking place in some sort of a nice Japanese house? No, it's not. It definitely seems to be taking place on board the ship. It looks exactly the same. It seems to be anyway. And then this woman in the kimono, she's like, "You have completed the ancient tea ceremony. Now you may carry on in battle." She says that, like in battle, and then Tamara says, "Thank you, sensei." And then they cut to Max, who is nodding knowingly, like this is super cool to him now.
And then Tamira says that was the most spiritual experience of my life.
Wow, okay.
And Max is like, whatever.
Apparently, Tamira's never been forced to go to Catholic church.
Yeah. Well, her last name is Goldstein.
Oh, was she Goldstein?
Yeah, so I have a feeling Catholic Church isn't.
It wasn't for her?
But
maybe not.
We're not sure. She's from Ohio as well.
So. Okay.
And also she's poor. She's not rich.
Well, she worked hard to get her tuition. She worked for 2
years to save up.
For her semester at sea. And she's not going to let brats like Max ruin it for
her. That's right. And
although
it
she's
seems
in love
like
with
the
Max.
other kids, their parents are rich and just send them to sea. Yeah.
Now let's address the elephant in the room here. Max, like the Marlon Brando wannabe, is like a psycho, maybe.
Yeah, like he's kind of like the
he's supposed to be cool.
Dylan, or the he's that character.
Yeah.
And I think as an adult watching a show with a character like that, even with Dylan, you're kind of like, oh God, red flag. But this guy's even way worse. He's such a brat. He's such a misanthrope, and he's angry for no apparent reason. I thought we were going to learn in episode 1, like I said, that he's been traumatized, or he's mad at his dad for some good reason, or he has some reason not to want to be a C. But even and maybe eventually you find out, but by episode 3, all we know is that all the girls think he's so cool.
He's supposed to be the most handsome one.
And cool. And what makes him cool is that he is a sociopath.
He doesn't care about anyone or anything.
That's right. And poor, innocent, open-hearted Tamira.
He's following him around like a dog.
Yeah. And he obviously knows that she's in love with him, and he is just sort of toying with her.
Yeah. All right, episode 2. This one's called Pranks for the Memories. Okay. So the A plot in this one is that Jimmy, that's a chin beard, and another girl, Cassidy, who doesn't really have any other identifying characteristics.
She's blonde.
They're having a prank contest. They're both prank masters. And actually, Jimmy is heard to say this. In Pittsburgh, they called me the Gagmeister. And then Cassidy replies, "Is that because you made all the girls gag?" Okay. And then their prank contest begins with Jimmy getting up from the table, not realizing that his shoes have been tied together. The shoelaces have been tied together. And so he falls in the pool.
That's what it does.
And then when that happened, Naomi said to me, "He could have been really hurt." The B plot here is that, of course, it's Max and Tamira again. Now, Tamira's in love with Max, but
Tamira. Yeah.
But Ashley, the Southern Belle, she's just going to play around and see if she can seduce Max just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And
seduce. She was going to get him to take her to a dance.
Right. Yeah, it's still, yes.
And she wants to have a kiss is PG or
rated.
2.
It's PG rated. A kiss or 2.
Yeah.
So what did she say? Take some air?
Yeah, on the deck.
And then Tamira's like,
"But there's air inside." And then she says, "Take some air." It's a saying that means a kiss or 2.
Okay, so I guess those are the 2 plots. And so this episode is mostly structured around just the gags happening.
But it's also a bet. She bets the other girls that she can get him to take her to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And if she loses, she has to work in the cafeteria for a week.
Oh, Ashley working in the cafeteria,
which is the worst possible
it's
fate.
So demeaning. And then but that's going on, but this episode is really overshadowed by the constant pranks.
Yeah,
they're just pranking. Pranks are popping up left, right, and center here.
Yeah.
And some of the pranks, you remember some of the pranks? I mean,
well, it starts out with Jimmy and Cassidy pranking each other.
Yeah, what are some of those? I mean,
then they decide to team up and prank the others together. So there's different.
It builds. There's lots of them. Yeah. There's lots of pranks. They're pranking one the other, but basically it's like a war of attrition because both of them are becoming nervous wrecks because they're expecting to prank at any moment.
And a lot of it is they sit on a chair and a weird noise comes out of it.
A cow mooing.
Yeah, or they get in bed. There's water balloons in his bed.
Water balloons in his bed.
And then smoke starts coming out of her backpack, and people throw a bucket of water on her, as
okay
would obviously happen.
Or Jimmy's having a shower, and Cassidy steals his towel and leaves a
silk dress.
A silk dress that he has to wear back to his room, and then takes a picture of him. Yeah. And it gets everyone to point and laugh at him. So, all right, comedy in 1997. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, what's happening with the Max and Tamira thing? I mean, Tamira gives Max a mixtape. She's trying to like, become friends with him and like, get to know him because she really, really likes this guy. So she gives him a mixtape of her friend's band, which is called Malicious Intent.
Yeah.
Okay. Punk band maybe, but Tamara, you wouldn't expect her to listen to that kind of music.
Oh yeah, maybe.
She's such a goody two shoes.
Which is also kind of like she refers to herself as being like so weird and crazy and like I don't know what planet I'm from and stuff.
The girls are having a PJ party. This is where that plan to seduce Max comes from. And they're talking about all the boys, and someone says, Jimmy is like a big teddy bear, like, he's cute. And then mean Ashley says, yeah, the kind you donate to the Salvation Army. Aww. Stinky old teddy bear.
That's so mean.
Oh, it's just kind of a funny scene. So Baby Gosling, he's listening to a motivational speaker on headphones in the cafeteria.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's just like nodding along to himself. And then Tamira comes up to him and wants to like ask him for advice. And she's like basically saying how she likes Max, but she doesn't think she's capable of winning Max's heart. Baby Gosling, named Sean in the show, is like, you have to find your inner winner, okay? And he like puts the headphones that he on her, and then she starts repeating like mantras like that, like motivational self-help mantras. Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah, it's funny.
It is a funny scene, and it's just Ryan Gosling selling it. To be honest, he really is very, very funny. Yeah. So yeah, Jimmy Cassidy, as I said, they're cracking up now. They're like husks of their former selves because they've ruined each other's like sense of self with these pranks. And so they're like, let's join forces and rule this ship. And so now the prank chaos spreads to everyone else. So it's kind of like a montage of all the pranks happening. A lot of hair related pranks. So like, I think Ashley's like spraying hairspray into her hair. She like turns upside down to do it, spray it in there. And then she turns right side up again, and her hair is standing straight up because she was spraying spray starch into her hair.
Like cornstarch?
Well, that's what you spray on
ironing.
When you iron clothing to make it stiff. Now, would that work on hair? Naomi and I wondered about that.
No, it definitely wouldn't. I mean, like in order to make like a mohawk or something like that, like people used to use like egg whites and like super, super, super special gel and like so much stuff. Like it's not that easy to make your hair stand
up like that. Exactly. Yeah. If only it were so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another hair related prank to another girl. Isn't she just spraying something colored into her hair?
No, she's actually, she's drying her hair with a blow dryer and there's stuff in the blow dryer that somehow sprays out and turns her hair gray. Like, I don't know how you would get this gray stuff into the hairdryer in this way, but...
Okay, then there's another one of another guy having a shower, and somehow they've put
blue dye.
They've put blue dye in the water, which is like, okay, so they're sabotaging the ship's water system.
But only in his room somehow. And he turns completely blue.
And he's stained blue like a Smurf.
Like all of his skin, but not his hair.
I know.
Like perfectly blue.
He's dyed blue now. And the rest of the episode, he's blue.
Yeah. At one point, Cassidy's teeth were dyed green by like green toothpaste. Like it's all about dyeing body parts. Different colors.
In 1997, it was the funniest thing possible to change the color of something unexpectedly. Hilarious.
You remember that being like a big trend?
It was huge. Okay. When you can make something orange turn green. Yeah. Really good. Okay. Like Anna Green Gables' hair.
That's right.
It worked in Anna Green Gables. So Baby Gosling, because he's kind of been drawn in, because Tamira took him into her confidence, he's been drawn into this romantic B plot. So he goes and talks to Max, and he's like going to try to tell Max, like, hey, Ashley, who wants to go to the dance with you, doesn't have good intentions. She doesn't really care that much about you. Or
it's just a bet.
It's just a bet or something. And I'm not sure why that would really bother Max that much. This is just an aside. So like when Baby Gosling sits down next to Max is like, adjusting something. He's like sitting at a table, cleaning, putting something together, taking something apart. And like in a different kind of movie, that would have been a gun. Max would have been cleaning a gun. And Max is the kind of guy you're like, yeah, he is a... What? he's a psycho. Did he bring a gun with him on this ship? But it turns out later on we just see him. We see the thing he's manipulating better. It's rollerblades.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
Now where he's gonna use rollerblades on the ship, I'm not quite sure. Maybe
we never see. It's really like Chekhov's rollerblades.
They don't ever come back.
But they don't come back.
But and so yeah, when baby Gosling shows up, he goes, "Yo, there, little Brando." He says that. He calls him little Brando, which is such a middle-aged man writing the script.
Wait, which one calls
Gosling calls Max little Brando.
Okay, that makes sense. That does make sense. Yeah.
And so, by the end of this episode, what's the important lesson? Everybody's learned that you shouldn't prank too much because it can get out of control. Mm-hmm. Because the original pranksters at the dance, everyone turns on them, and they pranked the pranksters, messing with Jamie's suit. He did something weird to his suit. Did you see what he did?
He replaced it with a smaller version.
A smaller suit. And then, I don't know. And then Cassidy's teeth are green, like we said. So stop pranking everybody. Just ceasefire all around. And Max learns to appreciate Tamira for the true affection that she shows him.
Or at least for the mixtape.
He likes the mixtape. They meet on the ship's deck, and
because he doesn't show up to the dance.
He ditches Ashley. He stands her up.
And then she has to work at the cafeteria, and the last shot she has to put on a hairnet, and the humiliation is complete.
So that's episode number 2, and like we're really having a good time at this point.
Oh yeah,
we're really enjoying the show. We were like, should we watch our third one? I guess we should. Now this one's called Mayhem on the Orient Distress. And you're like, okay, how's this one gonna go? So this one has three plots. The A plot is that
they're in Hong Kong.
They're in Hong Kong. They're in Hong Kong. By the way, there's no train.
No,
there's no train in this.
There's no train.
Because the whole first scene, they're like in a market.
But the Orient Distress, not Express. There doesn't need to be a train.
Okay, it's just
there's mayhem. There's the Orient, and there's distress.
Oh my God.
So it all fits together.
I was expecting a train. And so the whole first scene, which takes place in a Hong Kong market, is I'm like, are they on a train platform? Like waiting to get on a train? Like, is that the train in the background? No, it wasn't. They were just hanging out at a Hong Kong, shopping in a Hong Kong outdoor market. So the A plot is these girls get invited to a party by a really cool Hong Kong boy.
Who has an American accent and talks perfect English.
It's a surprise when he speaks perfect English.
His name's Steve, so I guess he's supposed to be American.
His father is American.
Oh, right, his father's American.
So the girls are not supposed to go out after a certain time. So that's, they're breaking the rules. Now, the B plot is that...
no, it's just 2 girls. Sorry, it's just Cassidy and Tamira.
Okay, so Tamira, who's the good girl, goes a little wild.
And it's clear, though, that Steve has the hots for Cassidy.
Right, Steve, Cassidy... No, is it Cassidy?
Yeah.
Isn't it Ashley, Southern Belle, who makes the opening salvo?
She does, but he likes Cassidy.
Right, Ashley, so you used to know, is a Blanche Devereaux.
Yeah.
She is like the horny golden girl. They really made her that type, who's like flirting with everybody.
Yeah, but I don't think we're supposed to think she's like sexually active or anything. But yeah, she flirts and she
likes to take the air.
Oh, that's true. She just wanted a little kiss. She's kind of like Blair from The Facts of Life, if we can.
Go back even.
I don't even
know. I don't really know the Facts of Life.
She's like the vain, spoiled, rich girl. Mm-hmm. That's like the type,
it feels like very Blanche Devereaux to me. Like everything except the age. It's the only difference.
Well, and the sexual
stuff. This is a younger version of someone being very sexual.
Right,
she flirts with everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
So the B plot is that Max, this is my theory that Max is a psycho. He's trying to smuggle fireworks onto the boat, but for some reason he can't do it. So he's like he gives the money to Ryan Gosling and his pal Jimmy to get the fireworks or hide them or something like that. So the point is that they're taking care of Max's fireworks for him. Max, he wants fireworks.
Yeah, of course he does.
Okay. Gosling calls
in lieu of a gun.
Yeah, in lieu of a gun. Basically, he wants a bomb. He's going to blow up the ship. Like, wait a minute, does that happen in the last episode? Anyway, Gosling calls this Operation Big Bang, trying to take care of Max's fireworks for money. And the C plot is that...
So they put all the fireworks in the garbage can to hide them. There's a big
That's where
metal.
they end up in a metal garbage can. Now, the C plot is that there's a duck. There's a live duck, a beautiful white duck. You see these ducks on farms in small town Italy, actually.
Very nice.
And they are the kinds of ducks you eat.
Nice orange beak.
Orange beak,
classic webbed orange feet.
Classic webbed feet. And just like pure as the driven snow, white.
Nice white feathers.
Yeah, and so this is a very cute duck. It's in a cage, and a couple of the kids are sad because then
the chef,
then this demented British chef, who's the chef for the boat, I guess, the kids. He comes out and he's like, I can't do a British accent. You can do one. She doesn't want to.
Oh yes, I do believe I'm eating you tonight, good soul.
He really is.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
He is doing that.
I really don't think that guy's actually British because he really has like a
cartoonish accent.
Yes. Cordon bleu. At last I shall try your methods on this delicious looking bird. Then he also tells the kids like they don't get any, he's going to eat the whole duck.
That's right. No, they're like, oh, so we're going to have duck, are we? And he's like, no, you'll be eating SpaghettiOs. He's just going to eat this whole duck himself. Yeah. He's a glutton.
Then the girl, Denise is her name.
That's her name?
Believe. She's like, I'm going to free this duck. No, he says, I'm going to eat you tonight. Yes, I am. Or whatever. He walks away and then she says, not if I have anything to do with it.
So the C plot is they're going to save this duck. They're going to like it.
She and the guy who turned blue.
She and the guy that got turned blue in the other episode.
Yeah.
So, by the way, so when Ashley is hitting on the guy at the Hong Kong market, Steve is like modestly 25, and he's hitting on high school girls. Just so you know, okay. So there's that. Now, what happens is the way that these plots kind of run together is that the chef, he's like preparing to barbecue this duck. When he puts hot coals, he's like doing some of the barbecue. He ends up putting hot coals in the garbage can without looking at it. And so the fireworks have been hidden inside this same garbage can. So that is just going to be left there to smolder for a good half of the episode.
Literally.
Yeah, basically. Now, the two kids are hiding the duck in their room. Now, they've gotten the duck and they're hiding it in the room.
One of the rooms.
Yeah, and then so there's like a fun scene where Ashley's like looking for Tamira, I guess. And she like knocks on the door and they're like trying to keep the duck secret while talking to Ashley through the cracked door. And the duck starts quacking.
Yeah.
And he's like, quack, quack, quack. And they're just like, oh, it's Tamira's. Yeah. I have a cough.
And she's like, well, your cough sounds like a duck. And then the duck ultimately escapes and runs away down.
Right. And then for some reason, someone yells duck and then Ashley ducks. She crouches.
Oh, really? I missed that.
But it doesn't make any sense. Because anyway, someone yells duck. She ducks. The duck runs down the hallway. Okay, so now it's like Keystone Cops trying to get this duck as it's running around the ship.
It jumps in the pool at one point.
It jumps into the pool, which is a natural habitat for ducks.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, on land, the cops bust up the illegal party. Now the girls have to run away
with a nerd.
With one of the nerd
that Tamara has befriended while Cassidy was sexually dancing with Steve.
And but now they're hiding with this other nerd in an alleyway in a bunch of garbage, like in like dumpsters. And the Hong Kong cops, like, they see them walk by. And like, so there's some joke that the nerd guy makes. He says, oh, if we're caught, they'll make us watch reruns of Saved by the Bell.
Right.
And that's supposed to be like, so the joke is, oh, you think Hong Kong justice is scary? Because this is around the time, isn't it 1999 when Hong Kong passes into Chinese control again? So it's, yeah. So anyway, the joke is kind of based on people being afraid of the Hong Kong police being rough or unfair.
Oh.
It feels like, but the joke is, oh, no, they're not. They're just going to make you watch bad TV.
Right. I guess I don't get it.
But I'm not sure how important it would be that it was just maybe underage girls at a party or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back on the ship, and the duck is running around.
Amok.
The duck is running amok. The British chef is like basically the Swedish chef.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
chasing the duck with a cleaver in hand. No, but almost.
Yeah. Come back here, you dinner, you. Like, he was starting the barbecue before he'd even killed the duck.
Yeah. That's right. He was heating it up.
He was just going to take the duck, and put it on the lizard putting it on the barbecue. Like,
he didn't think that through.
No.
You really would need to, pluck that duck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work goes into preparing.
You don't just take the duck.
Preparing a live fowl for cooking is a lot of work, I'm assuming.
Doesn't it have to hang upside down for a day or two?
You probably have to drain it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think you have to let it dry out a bit or something.
I have no idea, but you certainly have to pluck.
You did not think it through at all.
You have to pluck a lot of feathers, that's for sure.
There'd be blood everywhere.
It would be mayhem.
Blood and feathers.
This guy was going to slaughter a duck on the deck of a cruise ship for rich teenagers.
Yeah. That's right, he was.
He had not thought that through.
Not at all.
Now, so the British chef is chasing the duck. The duck ends up flying away, and it flies off into the night. And the kids are like, yes, the duck is finally free. And you're kind of thinking, why didn't you just, if it's just a matter of the duck flying away, why didn't you just throw it in the air and let it fly? It's not, I don't think that duck's going to live very well, on its own in Hong Kong.
He bought it at a market or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it has a bright future ahead of it. Quite frankly, living as a wild duck.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, the duck's gone. We're led to believe it'll be fine. And then, of course, the coals, the hot coals in the garbage can have now set off the fireworks. And now the fireworks are going crazy. So everybody's on the deck because they hear the fireworks exploding, so they come up to watch. And so, okay, we get a scene, which is just it really is just a metal garbage can they got from Home Depot with 3 sparklers in it. That's what we're looking at in one scene, okay? But then they cut to stock footage of fireworks. And I swear to God, this is stock footage of Benson and Hedges Festival of Fire. It's a international competition for the best fireworks.
They're all looking up at the sky, and it's a serious firework display, and you're supposed to believe that.
And they cut, every now and then they cut back to the smoldering garbage can, and you're like, what?
Maybe. With sparks coming out of it, and then you're supposed to believe that the fireworks are shooting out of the garbage can and creating by themselves this really impressive firework display way up in the sky.
It's pretty funny.
It's hilarious.
I feel like maybe the director was in on the joke as well.
Well, yeah, I would assume so.
So the girls are on the deck of the ship. They're back safe from the party. It seems like they've gotten away from it, but then they gotten away with it.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been discovered having broken curfew. But then the captain shows up, and this is Max's dad. That's just kind of an aside, but the captain shows up, and he's just so he says something stern, so girls, how is everything? And then
he says, you know the rules.
You know the rules, okay? And so Tamir, just in a panic, an attack of anxiety, just rats herself out and saying, "I'm sorry, we know that we shouldn't have gone out after curfew to a party on the mainland, and I know that we shouldn't have let Ryan Gosling hide fireworks in the garbage can." She rats everyone out in this panicked confession.
Yeah.
And of course, the captain had no idea about any of that stuff, and he was just I just meant that you weren't allowed to stand so close to the fireworks or something.
Where did he think the fireworks came from? It didn't occur to him to wonder?
It didn't really add up.
Whatever. We're thinking too hard about it.
We just wanted narrative justice. That these girls who broke the rules had to pay for it.
Yeah.
In some way. So,
and the boys.
And the boys as well.
They all got in trouble except for Ashley, who was the only one who didn't really do anything.
Ashley didn't do anything. No, she didn't go out. It's
no.
true. She didn't go to the mainland.
She was just spying around and seeing everyone else break the rules.
And she was threatening to tell on them and stuff. She was going to be a tattletale.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't know what kind of a lesson that is for kids at home. At being a tattletale.
Well, she didn't rat them out, though.
She didn't in the end, no.
But she was trying to blackmail them.
She was trying to use her knowledge to blackmail them for some reason. In the end, Tamir just ratted herself out.
Yeah.
So that was episode 3. Now, there were those Italian episodes. If we had more time in the perfect world, this were a Breaker High episode by episode recap. I think I'd have some fun watching those Italian episodes. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Maybe we'll watch them at some point in the future, babes.
Probably not. Life is also short.
Yeah. These episodes are very short as well.
It's so funny. Because we just watch. I don't think. I think Disney maybe technically owns them, but they don't protect the copyright because they're not using them for anything. So it's on. This is on IMDb. Sorry, excuse me. This is on the Internet Archive. So you can watch all of these on the Internet Archive or on YouTube. And, you watch an episode, you're like, okay, like that's over now. And you go look and it was 19 minutes.
Yeah, and it's funny
21 minutes.
It feels somehow longer.
There's so much. It's really madcap.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, and it's like you cut to this scene and this scene and this scene. Everybody's acting wild. Everybody's freaking out.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just so high paced.
Yeah.
Without really ever a lull.
It's very like goofy madcap.
Yeah. That it just like feels like it kind of wears you down. Like, wow.
It does wear you down.
It wears you out.
It's really funny to think about how like adults wrote the show and directed the show. Like I can't help but picture like the making of the show and how some like adult director is like, not like be more goofy or like, you know what I mean? Oh wait, we forgot about the final scene where.
Which one?
Oh yeah, it is in the third episode where Tamira and Cassidy are like arguing about the fact that Tamira ratted everyone out, and she's like, "Well, I never told anyone that you stuff your bra." And then Cassidy's like, "I'm gonna throw you in the pool for that." And then the three boys standing by are like, "Wow, they said bra!" They're like so excited. They like all high five each other.
Gosling high fives Max. Because the girls said the word bra. Basically.
Yeah, and Jimmy, or there's a third guy there.
Jimmy's there too.
And they're all like, "Oh, wow, that was so awesome, dude!" Like they're so happy.
What the hell, right? Like teenagers? Is it like? Are teenagers really monsters, or is it that our like culture directed at them is like assumes that they're monsters?
I don't know. Like, did you ever know a teenager like that? Like either as a teenager
just
or
being like the sexually like frustrated and like very interested and extremely inexperienced and immature thing. Obviously, there was a lot of that going on.
Yeah, like being sexually obsessed and frustrated. Yes. Like that is obviously true, but and I guess kind of being a sociopath is kind of true. And like being bratty and sort of causing mayhem because you're not really thinking about consequences. Like I guess those things are true. But then also like there being like different types. Mm-hmm. Like one thing about this show is like even though there's like the nerd and there's the cool guy and there's the this and there's the that, like none of them are actually mean to each other, which is
no, there's
like
no
they're
real
one group of friends.
There's no
like,
real bullying, and
like
you can
when the girls all hang out, like Tamira's there at the
it isn't like don't talk to Tamira. She's like a nerd. She's ugly.
No.
There's none of that.
No.
And the boys are the same. I mean, except Max is kind of like he is like the rebel without a cause who stands apart a little bit.
Like he excludes himself.
He excludes himself, but everyone is like Max is so cool, isn't he? I wish we could be friends with Max.
Yeah.
So there's nobody's being purposefully excluded, and you can imagine in real life. If you were in one of these situations, like kids this age, like immediately how...
Probably one would be dead by the time they got back.
There
There
would be a high mortality rate.
It would be like Lord of the Flies at sea.
It would be, I mean, the way that cliques would form.
Yeah.
The amount of bullying that would happen to people ostracized.
Yeah.
It would be, I mean, my gosh.
I mean, Lord of the Flies is pretty accurate.
I mean, maybe there's an episode later in Breaker High where they shipwreck and it becomes a Lord of the Flies
There's clearly
scenario.
not enough adults on the ship.
There is not enough supervision, but of course, having adults around would kill the vibe.
Oh yeah, no, I know. But it's just funny to think like if I'd seen this show as a kid, like I can totally understand why kids loved it because I mean, obviously it's very PG and it's for kids that are like quite a bit younger than the actual characters. But like you would be like, wow, living on a ship with hardly any adults. Like, wow, like that seems so fun, you know? Like going to different countries.
Yeah.
And, like not like supposedly you're in school, but there's no like apparent school.
There's no depiction of school.
Yeah.
Which is
fun.
And
like you just hang out in like Hong Kong and Japan and you like flirt with cute people and you do whatever, and even if you're like the nerd, like everyone's still cool and nice to you. And
obviously it's
a
fantasy for a 12 13-year-old maybe. What's the rule? Like if you have these kids are supposed to be 17 or 18, the presumed audience,
they could be like 16, so like the audience could be like 12.
They do not look 16 though. I mean, they look like they're in their 20s for the most part.
They act 16.
Presumed audience is 13.
13, 12.
I was definitely too old for the show. That's why I wouldn't have seen it. But I'm really glad that Sydney recommended it to us, to the show, and some others mentioned it as well. I'm glad that I revisited this little bit of of CanCon.
Yeah.
Breaker High. Any last thoughts on Breaker High, Naomi?
Well, it definitely has like a similar vibe to Saved by the Bell and shows like that. Like it's a very like a definite type of teen show where it's like teen comedy where it's like very light. It's very like girls be like this and boys be like this and nerds be like this and cool kids be like this and
jocks are like this, and which is funny because they're on the ship. It's interesting because the regular high school world has those different types. Like there would be the jock.
Yeah.
There would be the drama nerd.
Yeah.
There would be the pretty girls.
Yeah.
There would be the nerdy girls. And honestly, it doesn't feel like though, maybe this develops later on, or maybe it's just really the context of social life on the ship doesn't allow those groups to emerge.
Oh, and that's like...
So maybe that's the concept then too. It's like, look, high school, but in a way that there can't be groups.
But I think that's like also like something that we've seen over and over, like both in real life and like in stories where it's like you're in a group. Like, I mean, this happens at like summer camps. It happens in situations like that, and then also on a show like The Facts of Life or like The Golden Girls or whatever, which is not kids but same kind of thing, where it's like an unlikely group of people like who wouldn't necessarily be friends otherwise because they're all different, like are together in some way, like living together or on some kind of adventure together and have to rely on each other. And then they get to know each other in this way that they wouldn't have otherwise, but like that's more interesting than seeing like a bunch of people that would naturally be friends.
Yeah,
be friends.
Well, when I said the word jock, I realized, okay, there's no way to know who the jock is because there's no sport. There's no sports on the ship.
Yeah.
That would maybe emerge over time. I don't know.
But like in real life, like, like Dorothy on The Golden Girls would be hanging out with a bunch of other Dorothys, and like Blanche would be hanging out with men, and like it's only because they live together that they're hanging out, and that's kind of part of like a sitcom. It's a situation where people are together that wouldn't otherwise be. Like that's where the humor comes from, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That like odd couple or odd posse,
Yeah, well, that definitely, I think that works. I mean, to be honest, if I were 13 in 1997, I could see myself quite liking the show.
I remember when I was a kid, I had this like daydream, like kind of persistent. I had, like I don't know if you had this, but sort of like daydreams that would kind of be like an ongoing narrative. And like one of them was like living on a ship.
Is that right?
Although it was a spaceship in my fantasy, but it was kind of like
very different.
The Starship Enterprise, but all kids at like a school.
Okay.
Where it was like on a spaceship.
They must have that. Isn't there a high school on a spaceship? There's got to be something like that. Is there a show like that?
I don't know, but I feel like this like it's kind of a similar thing. Like you're going from place to place, having different adventures with a bunch of kids, and it's like. And you all live together and you're all in this isolated space together. And it's like based on, like tropes from, I mean, obviously I was thinking of like basically Saved by the Bell meets Star Trek. But
instead of the Love Boat. Yeah,
instead of the Love Boat, it's kids. And there's something like so fun, I think, for a kid to imagine. Any situation where there's like more kids than adults.
Yeah.
And it's this like society of kids.
And you get to travel.
So
it's changing all the time.
I mean, and there's like on the ship in the show, there's like a little bar restaurant thing where like Tamira works.
Like a cafe or something.
Yeah, a kind of cool looking cafe, and they each have like their own room. It's like a nice room. It's not like a crappy.
Well, I think they have
cabin.
Don't they have roommates? No.
Maybe they do, but it's still like it's a nice bed. Yeah, I mean it's like they're kids, but they're living this kind of.
It's like a vacation.
Yeah, but without parents.
Yeah.
Except for Max has his dad there, but yeah.
Definitely appeals to a kind of kid fantasy.
Yeah, it's a kid
you had
fantasy.
Yourself.
Yeah.
You had a daydream where you were on a spaceship.
Yeah. It was a fantasy. Yeah.
It was a fantasy where
like
you lived
an ongoing sort of stories I'd make up in my mind. Yeah.
About living on a spaceship with friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I would just kind of, I think like not even necessarily friends, but actually this part's really sad and shows what kind of nerd I was. But I was like, and this is when I was really young, like I'm thinking like grade 5 kind of thing.
That's not the demographic for this show.
No, but I remember like imagining that like all the kids in my class were on the ship, and like very specifically like making little diagrams of where each person's room would be and stuff. And like I was not friends with these kids.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have friends when I was that age. I was like too shy to have friends.
Okay.
And like I didn't like these kids were not particularly nice to me. Like, I don't think they were particularly unnice to me. I just was like too shy to be friends, you know? But in my daydreams, we were friends. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were like traveling the galaxy together.
Wow.
That's really pathetic.
Well, in the day, it's fine. Seems like a normal kid fantasy.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine and healthy.
Except that they weren't actually my friends. Yeah. Like I didn't have the guts to be friends with them in real life.
Well, I wonder how many kids watched Breaker High and were like, wow, I wish I could be friends with Jimmy and Sean and Max.
Right.
You know, I just imagine
that's part of the fantasy of like, yeah, everyone's friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantasy where everyone's friends.
Yeah.
Because that's not how it is.
It's not
in
how
school.
it is.
School's famously not that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's one of the reasons that the show was well loved.
And I mean, that last episode, or the one where, the last one, like it's Cassidy and Tamira who end up going out to the party. It's like the cool, pretty girl and the nerd girl, like just the two of them hanging out.
They bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, why not? Right. In the show, it's logic. But in real life, probably those two like wouldn't really do something together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's part of the fantasy too. But then it's also funny because like the kind of jokes and like the kind of stuff they find funny is like so corny and cheesy. And you like wonder, I guess because it's younger kids, they think it, like if you were actually the age of the characters watching it, you'd be like, oh my God.
No, I think you were 13 in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
You're laughing at some of these jokes. Anyway, we're at about an hour here, so let's we will wrap it up. But I enjoyed Breaker High. Glad that I revisited it for the first time. I won't be going back probably, but I mean, you never know. Never
know. But it definitely is a really good idea for a show that kids would love.
Maybe we'll do Breaker High on a spaceship. We should do that. If that doesn't, I can't believe that doesn't exist as a show. It hasn't been tried. I'm sure it has been.
It must be. There must be.
I'm not. We can't be the first people to think of that. Okay, Naomi.
Well, Aaron.
Thanks for talking about Breaker High.
Thanks for talking about. When I was a kid, I would have loved to be at sea with you. As a kid, I'm sure we would have really had some good times.
I don't think I would have wanted to go on a ship.
Oh, me neither. But if I was forced to go like Max, I would have.
I would have been like Max and like, fuck, I'm on this stupid fucking ship.
I just would have been scared that the other kids wouldn't like that I wouldn't fit in, and then I'd like hide.
Oh God.
Well,
that's the difference between reality and fantasy, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.